I still remember that day. It was one of the hardest days of my life. I felt tired, worried, and alone. I did not know what to do next. I thought nobody cared about me. But on that day, a stranger changed my heart. My name is Daniel. I live in a small town. I work hard every day. I am not rich, but I always try to do my best. Life was not easy for me. A few years ago, many problems came into my life at the same time. I lost my job, my savings became smaller and smaller, my father was sick, my mother was worried all the time. Every day felt heavy. I looked for a new job, but nothing happened. I sent many applications, I went to many interviews. Still, nobody called me back. Each morning, I prayed to God. God, please help me. Please show me a way. But days passed, then weeks passed. Nothing changed. Slowly, I started to lose hope. One cold morning, I woke up feeling very sad. I looked at my phone. No new messages. No job offers. I sat on my bed and put my face in my hands. What should I do now? I asked myself. I decided to go for a walk. I needed fresh air. I needed to clear my mind. The sky was gray. The wind was cold. The streets were quiet. As I walked, I thought about my problems. I thought about money. I thought about my family. I thought about my future. The more I thought, the worse I felt. After some time, I stopped at a small coffee shop. I had only a little money left. I checked my wallet carefully. I counted the coins. Maybe I had enough for one small coffee. I went inside. The shop was warm. Soft music played in the background. A few people sat at tables. I walked to the counter. Then my face became red. I did not have enough money. I counted again. I was still short. For a moment, I wanted to leave. I felt embarrassed. I felt ashamed. The woman behind the counter smiled kindly. "Is everything okay?" she asked. I nodded, but it was not true. Before I could say anything, a voice came from behind me.
"I can help." I turned around. An older man stood there. He had kind eyes and a gentle smile. He stepped forward and paid for my coffee. I was surprised. "No, sir," I said. "You do not need to do that." He smiled. "I know," he said, "but I want to." I thanked him many times. Then he pointed to an empty table. "Would you like to sit with me for a few minutes?" Normally, I would say no, but something about him felt safe. So I agreed. We sat together with our coffee. For a few moments, we said nothing. Then he asked, "You look worried. Is life difficult right now?" I was surprised again. Maybe it was because I was tired. Maybe it was because nobody had asked me that question for a long time. But I told him the truth. I told him about my lost job. I told him about my sick father. I told him about my fear. I told him about my prayers. The man listened carefully. He did not interrupt. He did not judge me. He simply listened. When I finished speaking, he nodded slowly. Then he said something I will never forget. "Sometimes God sends help in ways we do not expect." I looked at him quietly. He continued. "When life is hard, we often look only at our problems. We forget to look for God's small gifts."
I thought about his words. Small gifts? What did he mean? The man smiled. You woke up today? Yes, I said. You can walk? Yes. You have family who love you? Yes. You still pray? Yes. He nodded. Those are gifts. I became silent. I had spent so much time thinking about what I did not have, I forgot about what I still had. The man took a sip of coffee. I had difficult times too, he said. Really? I asked. He laughed softly. Many difficult times. Then he told me his story. Years ago, he lost his business. Later, he became very sick. He spent months in a hospital. There were days when he felt afraid, days when he cried, days when he asked God many questions. But God never left me, he said. How do you know? I asked. He smiled again. Because I am here. I thought about that answer. It was simple, but it was powerful. The man looked out the window. Sometimes God changes our situation. Then he looked at me. And sometimes God changes our heart first. Those words stayed with me. We talked for almost an hour. Before leaving, he stood up and shook my hand. Keep praying, he said. Keep trusting God. Then he added one more thing. When you receive kindness, share kindness. After that, he walked away. I never learned his full name. I never saw him again. But I never forgot him. That day, my problems did not disappear. I was still unemployed. My father was still sick. Money was still tight. But something inside me changed. I felt lighter. I felt calmer. I felt hope again. That evening, I prayed. But my prayer was different. Instead of only asking God for help, I thanked him. I thanked him for my family. I thanked him for my health. I thanked him for the stranger. I thanked him for another day of life. The next morning, I woke up with a new attitude. I continued looking for work. I continued helping my family. I continued praying. Days passed, then weeks passed. One afternoon, my phone rang. It was a company where I had applied. They wanted to hire me. I could hardly believe it. I thanked God immediately. The job was not perfect, but it was a beginning, and that was enough. Life slowly became better. My father also started to improve. Little by little, things changed. But the greatest change was not my job. The greatest change was my heart. I learned to see life differently. I learned to notice small blessings. I learned to trust God more. I learned that kindness is powerful. A few months later, I had my own chance to help someone. One rainy evening, I saw a young woman standing at a bus stop. She looked worried. She looked cold. The last bus had already left. I remembered the stranger. I remembered his kindness. So I walked over and asked if she needed help. She did. I helped her call a family member. Soon, someone came to pick her up. Before leaving, she thanked me many times. As I watched her leave safely, I smiled. The stranger's kindness was still moving through the world. It had reached me. Now, it was reaching someone else. That day, I understood something important. Kindness never really stops. It travels from one heart to another. One small act can change a day. One kind word can give hope. One smile can bring peace. And one stranger can teach a lesson that lasts forever. Today, whenever life becomes difficult, I remember that morning in the coffee shop. I remember the warm smile. I remember the simple words. And I remember God's faithfulness. If you are facing problems today, do not lose hope. Keep praying. Keep trusting. Keep moving forward one step at a time. God sees your struggle. God hears your prayers. Even when you cannot see the answer, God is working. Sometimes help comes from family. Sometimes help comes from friends. And sometimes help comes from a stranger.
But every good gift comes from God. The lesson I learned is simple. Be grateful for small blessings. Trust God's plan, even when you do not understand it. Accept kindness with an open heart, and share kindness whenever you can. You never know whose life you may change. There is always hope. There is always a reason to keep going. And there is always a loving God walking beside you. So trust Him. Pray often. Be kind. And never give up. Your story is not over yet. The best chapter may still be waiting for you.